2020 was a wild year. And when I got released on April 15th with everybody else with WWE, I mean, it was due to massive budget cuts and it was devastating. But I remember that day. It was a morning, and I was on my bike, my cycle, a stationary bike in the house, and I was playing NBA 2K with my son, and my nephew was over. I was multitasking, and I was winning, by the way. Anyway, I get a call from Michael Cole, and immediately, like, my heart stops. I'm like, oh, hold on. Uh, hey, Michael. Hey, what are you doing? I'm working out. He's like, oh, okay, it's a terrible day, and tells me, with the budget cuts, they, with COVID, they don't know what's going on or what's happening, but they have to let everybody go. He's got to give me the unfortunate news. They're gonna let me go. But now I have to say this, and I've never mentioned this before, but this explains, my loyalty to WWE was during this time since 2017 up through 2019. I was going through a very public custody battle with my son's mother, Jeff Hudson. So WWE had stuck by me during this time because at that time there were false stories in the news about me, accusing me of things I did not do that seriously harmed my reputation. And I'm precluded from suing for defamation because it's protected speech. I'll discuss that in a later video in depth when I'm allowed to. But during this time, if an entertainer or a professional athlete were accused of anything like this, they would be fired just off the accusation. And for me to be accused of something that was just patently false, I am a black man at that time, and Me Too was going on at this time. And so, like, for somebody to make an accusation like that and take advantage of that, this is a touchy area. Like, companies would rather be safe than sorry and just fire somebody. However, personally spoke with Vince, and Vince stuck by me during that time. Now, I may or may not have shown, hey, Vince may or may not have seen evidence that directly showed or proved my innocence. May or may not, I don't know. But either way, stuck by me when there were lies about me in the media. That meant everything to me personally, just because, like, I'll say this, you never find out how strong you are until you can have the whole world believing something about you that's not true, and you can't even defend yourself publicly about it. Partly because you're too classy. You don't want to make it any bigger. But then also you have a son you're trying to protect too. But and there's a false narrative about you, and you have to just take that. That's when you find out how strong you are, and when you keep going through that. And so during this time, had I lost my job, I don't know what I would have done, because also I got put out of my house that I was living in and I was paying rent in. That's against the law right there. Doesn't matter, because I had to be put out. Yes, I sorted it out on my own in court and got out of it a week later and got the custody myself. However, you have to go through that. But then now I don't have a place to live, and I have to get a house within the school district so I can still have my son. So I had to live in a motel right there. There just aren't homes in that neighborhood, in that subdivision, that are available. That's not what the situation was. So I'm trying to tell you, I had to live in a hotel. Like, if I had lost my job, I couldn't have afford a place to live. I couldn't have even had money, for my son, which I was trying to show that, I'm able to be on my own and raise my son. So during this time, things were extremely precarious. And the fact that the company stood by me meant everything. And the fact that I still had a job I felt incredibly loyal. So even down to when I was released, like, talked with Michael about that. And Michael Cole, they gave me a severance because, and obviously he knew what was my situation and what was going on, and to help me out. I was extremely grateful for that. He explained to me, hopefully when things are sorted out, they'll bring me back. And so that's always something that, I was kind of holding on to, is things were so uncertain. We didn't know. We were locked down. We didn't know how long we were going to be locked down for. I certainly didn't expect for years. Thought it could be weeks, a month. Okay, after we're not locked down and we can start doing pay-per-views, because that's really what it was. Also, as Michael said, we're not going to travel for pay-per-views anymore. I was only doing the pay-per-view panels. Let's be honest. They didn't really need me. I mean, if I'm being honest, they had me do the pay-per-view panels. I worked there because they really liked me. They liked the value I added. Don't get me wrong, but like, I added great value to them. But like, they didn't need me all the time. And so I was grateful to still have a job at that point, because like I said, that was sustaining me and literally fighting for my child. So again, this is just the mind state that I was in at that time. And so even though I was let go, like, I'm devastated, but I did feel some loyalty, because I felt something that they stood by me during that time. And I will forever be grateful for that. By what AEW is today. Oh, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you. So after this, perfect segue, like I wrote this, as AEW started blowing up, I have a friend named Tony. Shout out to you, Tony. Tony grew up in Champaign, Illinois, which is where University of Illinois is, where I went to college. I went to college there at the same time as my friend Tony. Oh, not the Tony you think, not Tony Khan. I'm sorry. I'm talking about, let me go back. I have another friend named Tony. His name is Tony Basilios. I'll give his government name. Hey, Tony B. Shout out to you. Shout out to your brother Eddie too. All right, the VBBs. Anyway, my friend Tony Basilios, we're hanging out one day. This has got to be, I don't know, 2022, maybe. I don't know, something like this. Before I moved to LA. And he mentions to me, hey, this kid I grew up with has his own wrestling company. Would you ever think about going there? Like, he drops this casually in conversation. He's not a wrestling fan. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I think he's talking about some random independent place or something. Okay, Tony, who do you know? He tells me, no, I have this friend, Tony Khan. Have you ever heard of this, like, All Elite Wrestling? I'm like, what? That's your friend? He's like, yeah. I didn't even know it. Like, he's like, yeah, he grew up in Champaign, Illinois. True, he did. He really did. And then the more he kept saying his name, they were talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, he told me that his family owned the Jacksonville Jaguars. I put it together. I said, wait a minute. I met a kid years ago. I met this guy. He said his family owned the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was like, I think we might have even exchanged phone numbers. I go through my phone. Sure enough. And I'm like, I don't know if this is still his number, but I'm going to text him. So I just reached out and said, hey, Tony, I don't know if this is still your number, but a mutual friend has brought you up, and I mentioned Tony Basilios. And I was like, just checking to see if this is still you, but I don't know. I don't know what I said. I'm proud of what he's done or whatever. But it was just saying what's up, and yeah, and he texted back, so it was still his number. But like, it's just cool, like that. That's my life, like how wild things are. Like, I met him so many years ago, and now look at what he's done. Like, this is, shout out to you, Tony. Like, I'm so impressed. Like, so proud of like what you do and what this has become. Like, that's dope. Shout out to you, Tony Basilios, also.